Welcome to the Terrible Podcast with your hosts from SteelersDepot.com, where you can find all your latest and greatest Steelers news. It's Dave Bryan and Alex Kozora, always lit, talking Steelers.
And now, here's Dave and Alex.
Welcome to the Terrible Podcast, another special edition of the Terrible Podcast, Pittsburgh Steelers Training Camp 2025. I am Dave Bryan from SteelersDepot.com. It is Wednesday. It is July 30th, 2025. It is 8:45 p.m. Eastern Time. And with me once again, and as usual, Alex Kozora, fresh off yet another trip out to Saint Vincent College in Latrobe for training camp practice, and he actually got to see a practice today. Was not rained out. I know he's glad about that. He will have to turn himself around quickly and head back out there as the practice time for Thursday has been moved up to earlier in the day due to threatening weather. But let's see, before we get to all that, there is Alex on the other line. So Alex, how are you? Happy Wednesday.
Hello, Dave. I am here. Good day today. Hot one, but good environment, clear skies overall, in pads. Yeah, tomorrow's practice, Thursday session, 10 a.m. Eastern time to beat some of that rain. So probably a good plan by the team, but a whole lot to talk about on Wednesday.
Yeah, absolutely. Pat McAfee and company were out there for their show broadcasting live. That was really, really exciting. A lot of great guests and all. And boy, the fans were pumped up behind him. Look, I even got excited listening to that. Really good turnout at Saint Vincent College today. Alex, before we get started, we have to talk about our show sponsor who are sponsoring the special edition of the Terrible Podcast, as they have now for several years. And I'm, of course, talking about Touring Plans, and that's Lynn Testa's company. So tell the listeners about Touring Plans.
Yeah, they've been a great partner of our Steelers Depot training camp coverage for many, many years now. If you're planning a trip to Disney, either maybe late in the summer before the kids go back to school, or in the winter during winter break going to see family, whatever the case is, check out Touring Plans, whether that's Walt Disney World, Disneyland, Disney Cruise Lines, anything Disney related, they can help you out in terms of your itinerary, in terms of the times when the parks are the busiest and least busy, how to save some money on tickets, and just in general, the best places to go, see, and how to really maximize that experience, one that people often go to maybe once a year, if that, maybe once every couple of years. So want to make it count, want to make it feel worth it. Check out touringplans.com and tell them Steelers Depot sent you.
Yeah, absolutely. They have a great app as well, too. Make sure you download that. Make sure you go to touringplans.com and bookmark the site for your next trip, anything Disney related. All right, Alex, let's go over the health of this team. Mike Tomlin talked the other day about how he was expecting Broderick Jones to be back on Wednesday. Broderick was back on Wednesday, but he wasn't back in full capacity. So I believe Mike DeFabo of The Athletic seems to hear that it's a groin that he's coming back from. Mike Tomlin said they're ramping him up to get closer to full participation. We'll see if that happens tomorrow or sometime by the time the weekend rolls around. What's going on in addition to Broderick Jones only being limited on Wednesday?
So far, so good. I think pretty clean overall, with one exception. The notable injury of the day was defensive lineman Asazi Otomewa. He went down early in 7 shots. Really, the third man in on a run tackle. Looked like he was reaching for his leg. I believe Tomlin called it a knee post-practice. He tried to jog around a little bit around the head trainers to see if he could push through it and finish practice. He did not, though. He was carted off, and so we'll see the severity of that and his status for now this Thursday morning practice. Hopefully there's not a serious injury with him, but we'll just have to wait and see. Not practicing, Isaac Seumalo remains on NFI. DJ Thomas Jones with a left foot, ankle or foot injury suffered over the weekend. Elsewhere, not a whole lot else to note. It was good to see Quindell Johnson, the veteran safety. He came back in full after being limited over the weekend. Cam Hayward just got individual reps, did not work in team today. That's planned. That's rest. He was fine, just getting reps for young guys like Derek Harmon and Y.A. Black and others. So I think that covers it.
All right, a little additional housekeeping. Jeremiah Moon and Montana Lamonius Craig, both who were waived injured on Tuesday, cleared waivers on Wednesday, and they have both reverted to IR as expected on split salary contracts. And now we'll wait to see what happens with them over the next week to see if either one or both get injury settlements. So I think that's got us up to date with all of the housekeeping there. Let's start with just the energy of the place with the Pat McAfee show at Latrobe, and I think poor Brian Baldinger got overshadowed because he's a big name out there as well. The place was packed, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, in terms of just the number of areas that had people parked, usually it's the main field right behind the stadium, essentially. There were just every adjacent possible parking lot you could find, the staffers could find, they put people in. And so it was, again, their lines, and maybe it's a little logistical. I'm not going to get into the whole inside baseball of Route 30 and the traffic and all that kind of stuff, but the lines and the wait, I've never seen it like this before. So despite the Steelers' underwhelming seasons, I think fandom is still at maybe an all-time high.
All right. People don't tune into this though for us to give them attendance updates. They want the meat and potatoes, so we're going to start right with the meat and potatoes. This is officially the first padded practice that took place on Wednesday. That meant the first backs on backers and the other one-on-one blocking drills and all. Instead of backs on backers today, Alex, it sounded like it was backers all over backs.
Yeah, I mean, I think the story of the day is some of the hitting, especially by the inside linebackers, Mark Robinson in particular, who I thought had good reps in the backs on backers against guys like Evan Hull, really a couple of clear wins there that carried over the team period. Peyton Wilson, some wins there. I mean, I think those two guys were the names that really stuck out in that backs on backers session defensively.
All right. Caleb Johnson, I think had 3 reps and begged for the third one. I think all 3 of them against Malik Harrison, and those did not go overly well, did they?
Yeah, I mean, I think as a rookie, as things go, I've seen worse from a rookie, and so I thought Johnson, he was square. There was some 1-2, but I think it's fair to say Malik Harrison was able to get a couple of good bull rushes into him. So yeah, I think Johnson was not a winner of this drill for the first time out.
All right. So Malik is a good downhill guy, right? Powerful, right? And I mean, obviously the drill is slanted towards the linebackers overall there, but I think Jalen Warren. How many reps did Jalen Warren have in that? 1 or 2?
He had a couple. I think I missed one. They can go so quick sometime. He actually took a couple lumps against Devin Harper. So to mention some other inside linebackers that made some plays in that drill: Harper, Malik Harrison, Peyton Wilson, and Mark Robinson, all kind of standing out there. In terms of the other side, who stood out, I thought Connor Hayward had a couple of good reps. Darnell Washington, a couple of good reps as well. I thought Kenneth Gainwell showed fight, and the fact that he was getting those reps, I think shows some level of trust and desire for Pittsburgh to put him out there. He didn't get the Dre Archer treatment of go be with the receivers during backs on backers, but Gainwell's a guy that's feisty, a little bit bigger. He pass protected a little bit in college and can do it at the NFL level. Wasn't perfect, but there certainly was some 1-2 and some fight in Kenneth Gainwell.
All right. So will they line those guys up again tomorrow, or will it be Friday Night Lights the next time we see that?
It's likely to be Friday Night Lights for the next backs on backers, although occasionally they've scrapped that, and because it was supposed to be Tuesday for the first padded practice, they're going to go backs on backers, Wednesday and Friday. We'll see logistically how they handle things, but they should do it at least one more time in camp.
All right, I think we had some bigger boys, some of the offensive linemen, get some reps in one-on-ones as well too. How did those go?
Yeah, it's one of my favorites. It takes place during the 7-on-7, and it's on the other field. And I love the O-line, D-line, one-on-one competition periods. I thought the offensive tackles really stuck out positively, whether you're talking about Calvin Anderson against Alex Highsmith, a couple of wins there. Dylan Cook versus Nick Herbig doing well there. Troy Fautanu versus TJ Watt. I would say he lost the first rep, but then won the second one pretty convincingly. So I think a good showing, holding his own against a guy at Watt's caliber. Fautanu did against TJ Watt. So I think those guys had good days. Anderson getting the first team left tackle reps in team, with Broderick Jones sitting out, only doing the individual work, not doing any competition periods or team period or that kind of stuff. So I thought the offensive tackles stuck out in a pretty positive fashion.
All right. I assume that I haven't had a chance because your report went right up right before we started recording. You have a long list of breakdown of those one-on-one blockings, not only for the running backs and linebackers, but for the offensive linemen and rushers as well, right?
Yeah, got 27 reps of backs on backers
Wow.
charted, and I think only missed maybe 2 or 3 in there. 31 reps of the O-line, D-line, one-on-one. So it's one of those times where, can I read my notes? And I got through most of it today. So I think I'm in mid-training camp form, Dave.
Yeah, I believe you are. How long does that segment last time-wise?
Not that long. It's a period. They go really quick. You line up, you go, either your rematch or the next guy step in. So basically, from the time I write down my notes to getting my eyes back up to the next rep, that's basically the time it takes. The period itself, I don't know exactly what it is, 7, 8 minutes or so. So yeah, it's pretty quick.
Okay, all right. Shall we talk about any difference? I mean, obviously, Calvin Anderson running with first team in team type drills and 7-on-7s. Anything else notable as far as any rotations go with the offensive line?
Gareth Warren did get some additional second team reps today, a little more mixing and matching here because they are short a couple individuals with no Broderick Jones and no Sayamalu. So just kind of some iterations. Let me try to find it here. I got one at Gareth Warren, Doug Nestor, Max Sharping, Stephen Jones, Dylan Cook. Jones continues to play some right guard, right tackle. Nick Broker still kind of feeling the squeeze on some of these reps. Sharping continues to play both left guard and center. So it's generally the same. I think today Warren got a couple extra reps in team period. Only got 2 reps in the O-line, D-line to finish things out. 1-1, lost 1 versus Welshaw. So, it's a guy that we're going to keep looking for, but trying to find those reps. And today Warren got a couple more probably because of Jones missing time.
All right, I know it's hard to see, especially not having the all 22 when it comes to the blocking, but outside of the one-on-one type stuff, do you have any major notes from the offensive line?
Not a lot of trend lines overall. Some moments in time. I watched Calvin Anderson run his feet and pancake somebody end of 1 rep. So I think a good day for Anderson overall. Fautanu, I thought, held the edge. And I thought Jack Sawyer didn't have his best day today. And it's just one day. I wouldn't panic about that, but it wasn't great. And some of the O-line, D-line stuff. And I thought Fautanu, in the reps that I saw at least, had success. I mean, I still think overall the defense won the day pretty handily, even though the offense won 7 shots, 4-3. But in team period and that run period and just overall, I think the defense certainly got the best of the offense, which would suggest the offensive line didn't have their best day.
All right, let's combine tight ends and wide receivers grouped together and have you talk about what you saw today.
Yeah, some misconnections. I think the offense left some meat on the bone. There was, I would call them drops, especially the caliber of player, but maybe some slightly offline throws from DK or from Rodgers to DK Metcalf and to Jonnu Smith, some passes that clipped off hands. I would still think they're catchable, but maybe they weren't perfectly placed. So still waiting for some big plays there. I did not watch the receiver DBs one-on-ones because backs on backers happens at the same exact time. And I'm always going to watch backs on backers first. Anytime I can watch a drill with physicality over one that's more on air, like receivers DBs, I'm going to watch the physical drills. So I don't know the takeaways there. I know the first rep was Metcalf and Ramsey. It was a back shoulder throw. Metcalf didn't see it. I know that Metcalf faced Porter later and I think caught a long touchdown against him. But yeah, for the offense overall, just kind of missing a couple plays there, not totally in sync just yet. But Ben Skowronek got some more first team reps than I'm used to seeing today. I wouldn't read a whole lot into that. They're going to rotate and mix and match pretty good. But with the group healthy overall, I feel like I saw more Skowronek with the ones than I have in practices past.
All right, and I believe there's a clip floating around of Calvin Austin getting on top of Darius Slay in the one-on-one drill and catching one deep. I couldn't see really well who threw it. I want to say maybe it was Skylar Thompson, but not entirely sure. I do know that it was Calvin Austin versus Darius Slay, so that clip's easy to find floating around on social media this afternoon. Anything about tight ends or anything?
Nothing that stuck out in a big way. Pat Frymuth had one snap at fullback towards the end of practice today, so some different guys filtering in there. We've seen Connor Hayward get reps. I think he got at least one rep as a fullback, true old school I formation today, but that would also be something small but notable there. I know there was some stuff about the 0-4 personnel from some of the on-air stuff. I don't believe they did it during the team period. I don't know if that got reported. If they did, I didn't see it. And usually, I mean, there always is an assistant holding up a card with the personnel. I didn't see 04 show up. Granted, I don't know if they have a 04 card because typically you don't see that in the NFL, but we'll watch for that going forward.
All right. How about the day the running backs had in pads outside of backs on backers and all?
Yeah, in the team run period, I mean, there were a couple of moments. Again, defense, I think, certainly dominated the day in that session in particular. I thought Trey Sermon ran hard, ran physical. He got away from Leota on one run in that live team run period and then ran over Brandon Eccles. And Eccles still made the tackle, but Sermon trucked him. There's no question about that. Gainwell had one good spin move to get 5 yards on what should have been a tackle at the line of scrimmage. So those were kind of the moments. I mean, Gainwell still getting flexed out. There was one throw from Rodgers to Gainwell underneath that missed. And so just kind of those missed connections overall. But yeah, the running room just really wasn't there today. I mean, in 7 shots, Warren had a rushing touchdown. Hull got stopped at the goal line. Just wasn't a ton of room for those guys. That the defense was flying around pretty good.
All right. How about the play of the quarterbacks today?
Saw some vintage Aaron Rodgers moments and little moments in pockets in time in 7 shots. TJ Watt coming free off the edge. So granted, this would have been a clear sack in any real world scenario, but Rodgers was forced to climb and rolled to his right a little bit and found, I think it was Jonnu Smith in the end zone for a touchdown. And then later on, I think maybe one of the better throws Rodgers has had, even though it wasn't a big gain, it was about 7 yards, but rolling to his right, facing some pressure, this off-platform back foot throw to Robert Woods, right sideline, perfectly placed, and a reception there. So you're not going to expect Rodgers to be as fleet of foot as he once was, but he's still somebody that has that DNA of a guy that can try to make some off structure or out of structure, off platform throws, change the arm angle, and saw a little bit more of that from Rodgers today.
Get a listener something on Will Howard for today.
Yeah, I think in a sense it's been quiet, but in a sense quiet can be good for a rookie because you're not seeing a lot of mistakes or a lot of issues. I don't think the moment's too big for Will Howard. That's kind of the thought that was in my head a little earlier today, kind of reflecting on not just today, but his first 5 practices overall, making checks at the line, knowing where to go with the ball. There was one, sim pressure, A-gap blitz, and they brought one of the inside backers. Howard gets the ball out, 5-yard completion, on time, taking a profit. So I think that's the best thing I can say about Howard so far. There's not been yet really one true wow throw. That's probably true of most of the quarterbacks so far. It's been a lot of short underneath, take what the defense gives you kind of stuff. But I just think it's been steady. It's been consistent. He doesn't seem overwhelmed by the moment, and that's all a really good place to be for a rookie 5 camp practices in.
All right. One exchange problem today.
Yeah, there was one, well, really maybe 2. I forget. I don't have in my notes the quarterback. I think it was Howard under center, and it was a botch exchange. I think Sharping was the center, and Y.A. Black ended up holding the football. There was a snap from Frazier to Rodgers that was either early or low or probably both, and so Frazier working on snapping. He also was really working particularly with somebody shaded over him, a one-tech shaded over him today. I think he's trying to work on snapping the ball and then, firing off to the right, for example, on a zone block or sliding to the right. I think he's trying to work on coordinating the snap and his feet without that impacting the snap there. Should also mention, just for Skylar Thompson, he threw a pretty back shoulder fade to rookie Rock Taylor today for about a 21-yard completion, one of the longest completions, maybe in fact the longest completion of the day. So that was a good ball from Thompson to Taylor.
All right. Any of those bottom end wide receivers making any noise? Taylor had a big catch today, you said?
Yeah, Taylor had a nice play there. Keyshawn Williams, a little bit over the middle. Also had 6 balls caught in the punt return challenge, and that's a little fun game they play before practice. So say those 2 guys sticking out. Robert Woods mixed it up. He got into a little skirmish with, I guess it was Joey Porter Jr. during the team run period. I know Woods talked about being physical and setting the tone. This guy loves to block, and so that not surprising to see Robert Woods mix things up.
All right. You're still waiting for Roman Wilson to kind of have his day, right?
Yeah, still pretty quiet. There was one slant that Rodgers threw to Wilson that maybe was a little bit low, maybe a little bit behind, but I think catchable. Porter had good coverage, but Wilson could not make the catch. I think Wilson did have one reception at some point in team today. He got open, but still, and I don't know how he did in the receiver DB. He might have had a successful period there, one-on-one. Again, I didn't see it. I'm sure others who did can talk about it, but still waiting for Roman Wilson a little bit more.
All right. Defensive side of football. Cameron Hayward seemed to not be doing anything in team. Did he get any team reps? Was he just doing some conditioning stuff on the side?
Yeah, no team reps for Cam Hayward. He did some jogging, a little bit of gassers on the side, but that's all planned. Just not needing to get Cam Hayward a lot of reps this time of year. So go ahead if you want to
I
say
was just
something.
going to ask about the rest of the rotations in the lines and how much, if any, has changed there.
I wouldn't say there's been a lot of change. There's some elevation there, extra reps, and some more nickel pairings. Dean Lowry getting still some good burn. I mean, basically, Lowry's going to work at lefty tackle, left defensive end. Loudermilk, righty tackle, right defensive end. So those guys are getting those elevated reps for that. Logan Lee is back playing more defensive end because Dominique Davis has returned. And so Davis is now running third team nose tackle. So it goes Benton, Aquale, and then Davis. And so Lee, I think, is more at his home at defensive end. Y.A. Black still playing defensive end, not playing any nose tackle that I've seen, but he's got some elevated reps today too as they're mixing and matching, especially late in practice. Also, we got to find Y.A. Black a bigger jersey. That jersey he's wearing is about 3 sizes too small. There were no line D line, which he had a couple decent reps in some good battles. That thing was riding up basically at his chest level. So just kind of a funny moment, letting that belly breathe for rookie Y.A. Black.
Logan Lee included in any of those one-on-one reps, and how did he do so?
Let me check my notes here. We got a little bit, I know, but not a ton. I don't think he's running after the ball in team. I have him with a late disengage against Doug Nestor, and then they went again, and I don't really have exactly who won that rep. So we got 2 of the final reps there. But yeah, it's still hard to find those snaps, even with Hayward getting the day off. He also did some long snapping early in practice. Lee did. He snapped in high school a little bit at least. And so trying to find some ways to increase his versatility. Now, he didn't do it in any sort of team situation. They didn't even do field goals today, but Lee trying to work on long snapping in case that is ever needed, which hopefully it isn't, but it's good to have.
Obviously not a lot of moving pictures coming out of those one-on-one drills, but Steelers.com and their daily photo submissions and all has some good still shots of some of those one-on-one battles. So people make sure to drop by there to see some of those great shots there. All right, how about the linebackers as a whole, both outside and inside? I think today might have been a Mark Robinson day, right?
It was, and not a shock when the pads come on. You're in live tackling, you're getting downhill in run session. That is where Mark Robinson thrives, and thrive he did. Backs on backers, he was very good, but just as good in the team period. He was blowing up runs. He blew up a screen pass to Trey Sermon, just being physical all the way around. So very much a Mark Robinson type of day.
All right, and he's a guy, I mean, physicality's never been the question with Mark Robinson, right?
Yeah, he's always been a whoa, not sick 'em kind of a dude, and that was also on display today throughout.
All right, and Cole Holcomb, first day in pads since suffering that injury back in 2023. So that was good to see. He still seemed to be moving around okay, and I think I saw his name in 1 or 2 of those one-on-one reps today.
Yeah, I don't know if I have a ton of notes on the quality of Holcomb's play today. He was working in team. I don't have an official note if he was working in the live tackling period. I want to check that tomorrow, assuming that they're in pads and doing that. He was definitely working in team throughout the day. He worked through some of the one-on-ones. He had a couple good battles with Trey Sermon, but just good to get him back out there. I'm sure that's a big milestone for him because I assume he was not in pads at any point during his activation window last year, very late in the season. Also, he ditched the sleeve he was wearing on that left leg. He suffered that terrible knee injury in 2023. So just kind of a show of confidence he felt really good about today.
Nice practice for Patrick Queen and Peyton Wilson.
Yeah, I don't know if Queen had as many standout notes as the others, but I'm not going to see everything, and I assume it probably was a good day. I don't know if Queen worked in backs on backers. I don't think he did, actually. I don't know if he was. No, he did very early against Jalen Warren, and then I don't know if he was doing some coverage stuff in the one-on-one because I don't think I saw him again. So sometimes those tight ends and inside linebackers will go filter over and kind of do double duty where they're going to get reps in 2 different drills during one period. That was true of Connor Hayward, I'm pretty sure, and probably true of Patrick Queen. But yeah, I think good day across the board for the inside backers.
You need 4 more sets of eyes, don't you?
Yeah, I'll take it for sure. The edge guys, I thought Jack Sawyer a little bit quieter today, but first day in pads, kind of getting acclimated to what that is like. That's new for a rookie like him. So it's still been a good training camp overall, but I would not say this was one of his best days. I think Julius Woshoff is just really strong and steady against the run. Not the best athlete in the world, but just a guy that is a little Sawyer-like in that sense of just kind of being big and physical and good against the run, not high-end athletic traits, but decent arsenal of rush moves, built differently than Sawyer a little bit. But, I think Wilshoff's a guy that's made good progress.
All right, let's talk about the defensive backs today, and I think today might have been a Joey Porter day, huh?
It certainly was. If you want a big winner of the day, I think pretty clearly it is JPJ with his dad on hand too, and really channeling some of the Joey Porter Sr. moments there in team period. One of the first runs, I think actually the first run of the official post 7 shots team period. Jalen Warren bounces a run to the right. TJ Watt dives and misses, and it's Porter one-on-one in space, and just a great wrap drive takedown of Jalen Warren for a loss of 4. Then a couple plays later, Caleb Johnson threw the hole off basically what right guard, right tackle, and Porter again coming in, filling, making the stuff at the line of scrimmage, had good coverage on a breakup to that slant over the middle to Roman Wilson that I mentioned earlier. So Porter across the board. I think his tackling was getting better, really continually. I think even during his rookie year, the back half of his rookie year, I felt like his tackling improved. But today, you really saw a level of physicality I don't think we've seen quite before with Joey Porter Jr. So really nice day for him.
Yeah, look, I think last year he grew at leaps and bounds when it came to wanting to stick his face in the fan and help out and set the edge and those kind of things and take on fill gaps and all like that. So I thought he made progress in that, and to hear him start off training camp first day in pads and have the kind of physical day that he had. Look, he's always been kind of physical out in coverage and all like that. Sometimes, too handsy. Obviously, we've talked about that, but it's a good sign. In other words, what I'm getting at, I think all those concerns about him and physicality and what play against the run are going away now.
Yeah, I think so. And when you're in a room with guys like Jalen Ramsey and the safeties that Pittsburgh has and Deshaun Elliott, you're around some physical people and a defense that wants to set the tone and frankly needs to set the tone. So I think that kind of rubs off. And obviously his dad's influence, I just think Porter's own. Again, this is not to me a brand new thing. I think we've seen, as you said, Porter grow throughout his career in terms of his physicality, tackling, run defense. But today felt like a different level.
All right. What about some of these other corners? A little quieter day for Jalen Ramsey or no?
I guess in a sense, again, I missed the receiver DB drill where you really could get a good evaluation of that. So I may have a little less on the corners today, and the quarterbacks really aren't testing things. Chuck Clark, and I forget who the corner was, some good coverage on a slot bait to Brandon Johnson that fell incomplete. But Ramsey just reminding people of his physicality. There was one play, it was in a non-tackling session later in practice. It was a run. Warren right side off tackle. Porter had the tag initially, and then Ramsey at the end as Warren, as he always does, cuts up field, wants to finish the rep. Ramsey just throwing a little shoulder into him. Not super hard, but enough to let him know he was there. And that's the mentality of Jalen Ramsey. He's always going to remind you of his physicality. What did Rogers say? He's a walk-through tempo disruptor or something like that today. So that's just very much, the presence of Jalen Ramsey is always on display.
Walk us through 7 shots, if you will. Offense finally won one.
Yeah, and another one that came down to a tiebreaker. They've had so many 3-3 tiebreakers, and so many of those where the starters have to come back in. It's been at least 4 days, maybe, I think, all 4 days they've done it. I think have been tied at 3 because they did not do it on the first day. But first play of 7 shots, and this is a live tackling period, by the way. Warren carry up the middle, has a crease, and he gets over the goal line for the touchdown. Some good blocking by the O-line up front. Next play, Rogers had an open Metcalf on a slant to the left, but a blitzing Deshaun Elliott got his hands up, batted it down. Those two guys kind of dapped each other up after the play there. Job well done by Elliott. Next play was the one where Watt came in free for a would-be sack, where Rogers steps up, finds Johnny Smith for the touchdown, so he'll give the win to the offense there. Next play was Rudolph hitting Brandon Johnson for a touchdown on a slant to the right. A nice throw and catch by the duo. Next play was a Caleb Johnson toss right. And I don't know if Porter was in there. I think it was Eccles was first guy in. This is the play that Oto Maywa got hurt on, but the play was short, a loss on this one. And so defense winning the rep. Evan Hull getting a carry the next play. I think he was short. Nice job by Jack Sawyer. Should give my hat tip there as he dove in to help stop Hull from getting over the goal line. So they're tied at 3. Starters come back in. Rogers looking right, coming back left, finding Metcalf back left corner and pylon of the end zone for a touchdown to win the day 4-2-3.
All right. What are the highlights from 11 from either? Did they have any 7-on-7 today, or was it all 11-on-11?
They did have 7-on-7. They have it every day of practice, but that was at the same time as O-line, D-line.
Okay.
And so again, I'm always going to watch that physicality drill over the on-air type stuff. So I don't know what happened in 7-on-7. Highlights of 11-on-11 are some of the plays we've mentioned, the Porter tackles. I think the Gainwell run with the spin move was nice. Mark Robinson blowing up the Sermon screen. Rogers' throw to Woods, just that off-platform throw under pressure, even though it wasn't for a ton of yards. It was still a nice vintage Aaron Rodgers type play. I would say those are a lot of the highlights of the day.
All right, so offense won 7 shots, but did the day belong to the defense again overall, especially when you consider the one-on-one stuff? And obviously you didn't get to see the receiver one-on-one battles or anything like that.
I would say the defense won the day, and I get the sense from the others who are watching that they agree. The consensus is the defense won the day, they've not really allowed any big plays over the top. These vertical throws, despite Pittsburgh having some talented and speedy receivers, Austin Wilson, of course, DK Metcalf, etc. Even the backups. I mean, they really kept the lid on things overall, and then just good tackling, strong and stout at the point of attack, fast flow, being aggressive and being physical. So I think there's not been a lot of running room. The passing lanes haven't been there. The offense a little sloppy today with some drops and slightly off target throws and some snap issues. Despite winning 7 shots, I will still give a pretty clear W to the defense.
All right, was there anything much to report about Sebastian Castro? Have not talked about him in a couple of days, I don't think.
Not much. He's still getting some safety reps. He had 1 tag, I think, on Lou Nichols today, the new running back, but don't have a whole lot on Castro. Chuck Clark certainly cutting into those reps a little bit.
All right, another guy we were interested in to see where he would be at throughout this thing. Max Hurlman, what's happening with him out of Notre Dame?
Yeah, he had a catch today underneath. He's playing almost exclusively wide receiver, had the 1 running back carry, then fumbled it, and that was probably the end of that for the time being. But yeah, I mean, he's done all right. He's played in the slot a lot. He's played on the outside a little bit too. Maybe I want to take a look at him in some of these one-on-one moments and see how he looks. But he's getting some reps out there. Is he making a ton of plays? I don't know if he's making a ton of plays, mostly stuff underneath, but getting some work for the offense.
All right, I'm going to throw you 2 more names to wrap up quickly that that towards the middle or back end of the roster, just to get some updates on. Doug Nestor, tell me a little bit about him today, and Daniel Aquale, what you know about him.
Yeah, Nestor's played both guard spots throughout training camp, left guard, right guard, with some of the injuries, and Malu missing, creating chances for others to double dip, and that's true of Sharping, Nestor, and Stephen Jones getting most of the reps there. Nestor had some good battles with Y.A. Black today. Those 2 guys are squaring off, so he's a big body overall, but still wanting to learn more and kind of see what kind of run blocker Doug Nestor is. Aquale still working a lot of second-team nose tackle. He was active today. He helped almost blow up 1 run. I think it was a Sermon run or maybe an Evan Held run where the handoff almost didn't get off because Aquale blew it up so much. And so just being kind of big and physical presence in the middle. Not played any defensive end, though. I don't know if that's just because there are obviously so many other defensive end candidates, and maybe once your roster gets whittled down, then the versatility of Aquale, played a lot of DN last year in New England, kind of can get highlighted more. But right now, it's just been second-team nose tackle and some nickel pairings for Daniel Aquale.
All right, you let me know Chris Boswell was kicking today.
Yeah, I know you're not going to like it, but 58 yards, you'll like that for sure. Ben Sauls did not kick in that period. He hasn't done a ton of kicking, which I'm not really sure why. Sauls did a little bit kicking later in practice, kind of on the side, but not sure why they're not letting Sauls get some extra kicks in, because I don't know how much Boswell needs. But Boswell, and this was not in a unit period. This was just snapper, holder, kicker early in practice, but Boswell looking like Chris Boswell.
All right, we'll get into this more on the Friday podcast about some of the interviews and the stuff said on McAfee. They had your buddy Danny Smith
I listened.
there,
that was great,
and that was great. What do you think about Danny? Is this just a cordial? This is a battle between Cameron Johnston and Corliss Waitman, and made sure to give Waitman his flowers for filling in last year. Or do you believe it's a battle? How close is that battle, if you believe there is a battle?
I think there's certainly a level of coach speak where Danny Smith's never going to sit there and say, yeah, this guy just has the job unless it's super obvious. But I think he can understand and appreciate what Waitman gave for the team last year. Punter coming in after the first week of the season to basically be your starting punter virtually the entire season, I'm sure meant a lot, and Waitman punted well. I'm still of the belief that if Johnston just continues to show he's healthy and punts reasonably well, that it's going to be his job to lose, I think was the phrase that you used. And I'm not going to really change that. But I think both guys, I have not gotten to the point of charting their and timing their punch yet. I will when they come together more fully. They've been doing that more on the side, but I think both guys have punted well in kind of their skeleton sessions in training camp. So yeah, it's a little bit of lip service, but I think it also comes from a place of Smith knowing how valuable Waitman was for the team last year.
All right, so to close things out, the top stories of the day or top players of the day, you would say Mark Robinson, Joey Porter Jr., right?
Yeah, I would say those are pretty clearly the top two of the day from my just live watch through. If we had the all 22, maybe there would be different impressions there, but I think pretty clearly those two guys are getting a lot of the buzz of the day, and rightfully so.
All right, and obviously you weren't able to watch all the drills. You know, your eyes can only be in one area. But if you were to choose an offensive star of the day, who would that be? Probably an offensive lineman, Fautano, Calvin Anderson. Who would it be?
Yeah, I would certainly say one of the tackles. I'll give the nod to Calvin Anderson. I thought he had a really good day. Good opportunity with Jones being out, facing Alex Highsmith. You know, did I watch every rep in some of the team period? No, but I didn't feel like the pressure was coming from the tackles. There wasn't a ton of pressure that wasn't unblocked today, at least. So yeah, I'll give the hat tip to Calvin Anderson.
All right, what are you looking for tomorrow, Alex? Early in the morning.
I mean, basically, if I can try to watch some things that maybe I didn't get to today, so they do some more receiver DB type stuff or some more coverage drills, I'll probably keep an eye towards that earlier in practice because they will not do backs on backers tomorrow. But, you know, as Tomlin says, I know it sounds so coach speaking cliche, but who can stack days? Anyone can have one good day, anyone can have one bad day. Who can avoid 2 bad days in a row, and who can create 2 good days in a row? So it's a long arc, it's a long process for me. I think the team holds that view as well. And so just who can kind of keep showing up on my notes positively, who can turn around a bad day, not make the same mistake twice, that type of stuff. But hopefully I'll get a little more notes on the receivers, DBs tomorrow.
All right, I think we got about 35 minutes in. Why don't we wrap it up and start getting your lunch packed for tomorrow?
I got a sandwich in the fridge. Wait, calling my name. So yeah, we'll come back for tomorrow, which will be an earlier show. The good news of the morning practice. We'll have the notes up earlier and the podcast in the can sooner, and get ready for Friday Night Lights on Friday night.
All right. Make sure if you're listening to this, if you haven't done it already, Alex Kozora's daily camp diary from Wednesday is up on the site and has been now for about, 40 minutes or so. Very detailed stuff in there. You can probably tweet at him or leave something in the comments on that post, and he'll probably get back with you before he goes to bed on top of things. So until we get together on Thursday night, you can follow me on Twitter /X at Steelers Depot. Follow Alex at Alex_Kozora. Follow the show at Terrible Podcast. Email the show, theterriblepodcast@gmail.com. If you like what we do and want to donate, SteelersDepot.com, hit the donate button. Also, if you like an ad-free version of the site, SteelersDepot.com, hit the ad-free button. Follow the directions that way. We have an app you can get at the App Store as well, too. And so, until Thursday night, as always, thanks for listening to the Terrible Podcast, another special edition of the Terrible Podcast, Pittsburgh Steelers Training Camp 2025 with Dave and Alex.